The August 28th zoning board meeting will now come to order. We welcome everyone that's here. Would you all please stand so we can salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome to everyone. Would you please take the roll?
Absolutely. Mrs. McFarland.
Here.
Mrs. Cluley.
Here.
Mrs. Esky.
Here.
Mr. Borai.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
And the solicitor, Mr. McClenaghan, is here.
Here.
And we want to welcome Gail Hager, all the way down at the end in pink, our newest alternate to the zoning board. Have her first meeting tonight. It's an easy one.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We are going down to our statement. Who wants it? Kathy, you want to read it? I see you have it propped up in front of you.
I'm so glad you asked me. The zoning hearing.
Do you need your glasses?
Do you want my glasses?
No, I don't. Too vain. The zoning hearing board will give all interested parties an opportunity to ask questions and testify in connection with the application being heard tonight. After the witness for the applicant completes testimony, you will be given an opportunity to ask questions of that witness. In addition, after the applicant has completed his case, you will also be given an opportunity to testify, which will require you to be sworn in. If you wish to participate in the hearing on an application, you should complete the entry of appearance form, which will be provided to you by the zoning hearing officer who is sitting at the table next to the court reporter. We ask your cooperation in maintaining silence during the hearing so both the board and the court recorder can hear the testimony of all witnesses. Also, we ask that you turn your cell phones off.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to our agenda, item number Z1412. Would someone like to read that, Bob?
I would be pleased.
Thank you.
Volunteer.
Okay, the first item is Z14-12, Amy and Anthony Ray. 724 Rantham,
728.
28.
I'm sorry, 728
You want my glasses?
Rainham
You want
Road,
my glasses, Bob?
Collegeville, Pennsylvania, 19426. The applicant is requesting a variance from R2 zoning district standards, section 143-37A, of minimum side yard setback of 20 feet. This is in order to construct an addition on the rear of the house 15 feet from the side property line. The parcel ID of the subject property is 43-00-11422-001. Subject property is located again at 728 Rainham Road, Collegeville, and is in the R2 residential district.
Thank you. Okay. Shall we open our,
Mr. Ray, Mr. and Mrs. Ray, I presume you're here. Come on up. Whichever you're comfortable with, but I think one of you can certainly occupy the table. And I see you brought the cavalry with you, which is good.
the cowboy?
That's good effect. Very good
That's
effect.
it.
The way this works, folks, is if you haven't attended one of these circuses before, would be, look at the look that I got from her, is that you get the chance to present your evidence as far as why you think a variance would be appropriate, and you filled out an application, which we thank you for. When you present, you basically present by doing so with testimony typically. We don't want to make you too adhere to the rules too closely, because obviously that's not what folks who are lay people are trained to do. Only we lawyers in suits really do that stuff. So you don't have to worry so much about that. It's informal, but the board may have questions. I may have questions. The best thing to do, of course, is present it as thoroughly and as succinctly as you can. The cavalry can, of course, chime in if they're called upon. There is a microphone there if you have to testify. It can be all, or it can be one, or it can be a combination or derivative of that, whoever wants to present evidence, but I don't think you're going to need a whole lot of time, it seems to me. It looks like you have it pretty well laid out. So with that, you can begin, but of course, when you do testify, it should be through oral projection as opposed to gestures, because the court reporter has a difficult time recording gestures, and she may not know what that gesture means. Some of them we know were pretty overt, but I don't expect we're going to see too many of those. So the show's yours.
Okay.
My name is Anthony Ray.
Doesn't need to be sworn in?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I forgot something,
Yes.
and I'm wearing the suit. Paula, could you please swear him in?
Anthony Ray. R.E.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Have it.
So, as it states, we're quite simply asking for variance on the setback. To give you a little bit of background, we moved here 17 years ago into a 3-bedroom ranch, that had been previously reconstructed. We had 2 children at the time. We now have 6 children. In the course of the 17 years we've been here, we've, of course, grown to love the neighborhood and the community, and we would like to stay here indefinitely. If you've ever had the opportunity to be in a kitchen with someone preparing meals for 8 people in a floor layout which has a kitchen, dining room, and living room on the first floor, you'll know that it can be quite chaotic, and so we're asking for an expansion of that, somewhat for the sanity of my wife. Otherwise, our home, which tends to be teenagers and young children get attracted to our home, so it gets fairly crowded. And so we could say this is for the good of the public, because otherwise we'll have all these teenagers and kids running around doing God knows what kind of damage to the community. In any case, back to, so what we're really looking for is, currently we have a living room, kitchen, dining room, first floor layout. We want to add a family room to that. And so the existing house, as you see, is 15 feet from either side, so it pretty much takes up the bulk of a very narrow plot compared to the house. Almost this exact same footprint here is where we have an existing deck, which at the time that was built was compliant to the zoning requirements of 15 feet of setback. And so the proposed addition that we want to do, we actually, trying to keep it as far away from the property line as possible, we actually bumped it in 12 more inches, so it's 16 feet from the current property line. I know 20 is the setback requirement, but we're trying to, again, do this as close to the compliance as we can. And then this is the footprint. On this side of the proposed deck, there's actually a structure that's not shown in the drawing. It's the chimney from the house. So we don't have the option to go further that way without moving that chimney and creating additional costs, and I'm not even sure if we would be able to do that because it's a working chimney. Going back this way, what you can't see on the drawing is that there's about 6 or 8 feet from the back of this proposed drawing here, there's a drop-off that's pretty severe, and actually it immediately starts dropping off here. The grade might drop off in that 6 or 8 feet. It probably drops off a good 2 feet to begin with, and then it drops off severely. So we looked at bumping it back further this way and couldn't do so. So really what we're left with is, in order to fit the plan that we have in mind, and to make it worthwhile in terms of the building and the cost, the floor layout that we have there is really the one that we would carry through with. Anything smaller probably would not be worthwhile. As I looked at the variance, and your obligation, it appears, is to follow some guidelines, and so I want to make my relevant case based on those. That there are unique and physical circumstances or conditions, including the narrowness or size or shape of the property. So that's am I quoting something that you guys are familiar with? This was from my packet that we got from the variance, right? Okay. So as I show there, there really isn't any wiggle room on either side, so it's not as if we could flip this to the other side of the property and push it out that way. It's 15 feet on one side or 15 feet on the other, with the structure there and the drop-off there, we're kind of locked into that location. And so it really is a function of the physical nature of the property itself and the existing structure. Point number 2, according to, and pardon me for 1 second. I'm just looking for the document that I'm referring to.
The points, you want those? You can take this if you want.
That'd be
That'll
great.
help.
Thank you.
It lists them all right here.
It's okay, it's okay.
2 through 5 there.
So you have those in front of you. Point number 2, there's no possibility that the property can be developed in strict conformity to the provisions of the zoning ordinance. That authorization of a variance is therefore necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. If you prefer, or if you like, I can show a picture of that structure there, just showing where the obstruction is, or would that be something you'd like me to enter into evidence, or is that okay that we just make that statement?
You mean the chimney?
Okay, thank you, okay. The third point, I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for there. That unnecessary hardship is not caused by the applicant.
That's the question.
Okay,
You started with 2 children, now you have 6.
ah,
Yeah.
Now, didn't you create those other children?
my wife is here. If I said no, would that be bad?
And what's the range between boys and girls?
We have 4 girls and 2 boys.
Yes, God bless.
Thank you. 3 teenage girls at the moment. We should be done right now, right? I mean, come on, guys.
It's just a question of whether often what would happen is someone would create their own hardship, and then they'd come to us and say, gee, I just shot my parents and I'm upset that I'm an orphan. That's not what we want. I mean, you can't come here and say, I've created the hardship, now give me a variance. That's what that point is.
Okay,
That's
so do
why
I
I'm
need,
teasing you about the children.
of course. I was prepared for that. I don't deny, they are mine and I'm happy to have them, and they are not a hardship.
He's very politically correct as well, isn't he?
They're great kids. So do I need to make a case that I didn't create the setback requirements or
I
build
think
my
we
house?
realized
I think we
already
can
that
understand that.
the ordinance had
Okay.
changed so that it was a 20-foot setback.
It was previously 15, correct.
Right.
Okay. And you guys didn't ask me what it should be at any of these times, so I can't be blamed for that, okay. That the variance, if authorized, will not alter essential character of the neighborhood or district in which it is located, nor substantially or permanently alter the use or development of adjacent properties to be detrimental to public welfare. The first, Mike submitted some letters in support of our project from, there's a plan view of the neighborhood, so all of the properties that are marked there are those that replied to my letter. So you see they're in the exact vicinity of my home, across the street, next door on both sides.
And is it your testimony, however, because none of these are signed, is it your testimony that these you obtained yourself from those neighbors?
I did. They were received via email.
Okay.
And actually-
your testimony then is that these are authentic and true and correct, and the representation of those individuals
I
as
am
opposed
sworn in
to-
under the,
as opposed to the 6 or 7 children that you have?
they did not write the letters.
If Keith keeps it up, we're gonna have to do a point of blood.
I'm seeing that's where we're going here. Actually, one of the neighbors is here, and they would be happy to testify that they wrote the letter, if that's necessary. I'd be happy to do that.
Good neighborly relations, for sure.
Okay.
Fine.
So you have those letters. The one, so in this fourth point, the letter from Dorothy and Steve Exline, they're the ones most affected by it because they're immediately on the side. They're the one whose house would be 15 feet from this. And actually, Dorothy is the daughter of these 2 fine people here, so she wrote that letter in support also of this project. It's not any more intrusive than the home that's built there to begin with, so this piece here, or the deck that's already there is my second point. My third point is the new structure is actually 12 inches a little bit further away. And the fourth point is that in terms of Does it change the character of the neighborhood? We're really following the example of many of the other homes in the neighborhood, smaller homes, split levels, ranches, many people, and it's, I'm sure on public record that they have built additions, bump outs, family rooms, very similar to this. And so I would argue that it doesn't alter in fact, if we don't do it, we might be kicked out of the neighborhood for not having an addition, because we're probably even the minority at this point.
So that's sometimes an issue in these cases, because people will come in here and they will say, well, everybody else is doing it, so why shouldn't we? And I don't mean that in a glib way. We have a number of cases like that. So I'm not necessarily questioning whether that's true or not, but we can't just take it as a fait accompli. You're saying that there are other properties that have similar bump outs that are in the general area. Can you give us a couple of examples?
Because of the houses, the mix of the houses in the neighborhood are ranches and split levels, similar floor plans, and so we have a number, let's see. There's one at the end of the block that has done the same thing, just built out the back, right along the side of the house, exactly as shown here.
But you don't know whether that was done incident to a variance or that was done prior?
I don't, no. No, I'm not making that argument that it would be with a variance or not.
Well, we have to wait until you have to.
Okay. Okay.
So what you're saying generally is there are others that are similar in nature to what you're proposing?
Correct, right. And that it wouldn't alter the character of the neighborhood. In fact, I think it would be an enhancement. One of the letters in there mentions as a licensed real estate agent that often these types of things increase the value of the homes, both in that home and in the other homes in the neighborhood. Lastly, the variance, if authorized, will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and will represent the least modification possible of the regulation in issue. I actually already covered that. We looked at where it can and can't be bumped out conveniently or affordably.
And there's no way to do it anywhere else on the existing building itself?
There are bedrooms back here, so having a family room off a bedroom's not good. And then, yeah, it's pretty much with this obstruction here, there really isn't any other option.
Okay.
Are you done, Mr.
Other
Smith?
than the letters entered that you have in your hand, hopefully I've given you ample evidence and given you reason to allow variance. I thank you for the opportunity to present my need to you, and I hope that you will grant my request.
The application that was submitted or that we've received, it has signatures. Are those you and your wife's signatures on there?
I believe so.
And you may want to show it to her as well. So formal.
This is mine.
Okay, and how about your wife? You're in agreement with all this?
Yes, I am.
She's the one that's insisting upon it.
I'm in trouble if we don't.
And can I have my sheet back that I let you have there for a second?
Oh, yes, Keith, I'm sure. Sure.
I haven't gotten to them yet. I'm wondering where the other siblings are. There should be unanimity here. Thank you. I'm sorry to usurp the
done?
board's time. I just wanted to make sure, and this is something that you obviously are attesting to as true and correct, and this is your work in terms of the application, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bob, you have any questions?
I have to say, it was a very thorough and concise presentation. And I would also mention, I'm one of 6 kids, and I do understand the difficulties of the problems and having them all in a small house, angels though they may be.
Cowboys.
Getting their
you know.
civics lessons today, too, might I add.
Just to clarify a few things, this is a one-floor addition, the family room,
Yes, it is.
and it will tie into the existing roof.
Yes, it is.
Will you be able to see it from the front, or will it be pretty much,
Will not.
it will not be high enough to come over the?
No.
How long do you think it will take to have this constructed?
I think we can have this shell up in about, well, the builder tells me about 3 to 4 weeks.
The reason I'm mentioning this is that one of the issues that we sometimes have is that people put additions on, and then we get a couple of torrential rainstorms, and all of the dirt that they pulled out getting ready to put the footings in or whatever suddenly washes the neighbor, and the neighbor that was so happy to have this done is suddenly not so happy anymore because, you know, they've got a lot of runoff.
We
So I'll
think we're
just
gonna-
mention that, if you can make certain that your contractor takes whatever steps is necessary to make sure you've got a slope there anyway, make sure the water just runs straight to the back.
We actually are going to use existing footings to the extent that
Just steep.
the building permit will allow, so we're going
Okay.
to keep that to minimum. That's one of the other reasons why affordability comes into play here. But I duly noted, and we'll make sure that we get it done and keep the site clean for sure.
Aside from that, I don't have any other questions. I think you've shown that it has to be where it is. It can't be any longer, it can't be moved to the middle, and that it's really kind of in conformity with unfortunately with the lot that you have, so.
Right. And I can't get rid of any kids either, so.
Joyce?
Would you show me again, please, where the chimney is for the working fireplace? Is that your heating system as well?
It's a, no, pardon me. It's, there's a gas fireplace that that vents through there, and so it's right next to this. The structure is gonna go up as close as we're allowed by permit.
Okay, and that gas fireplace, you were saying there were bedrooms across the back.
Yes.
So where's the opening for the fireplace?
The opening for a fireplace is on the bottom floor. We have
lower
a
level.
walkout basement, so it's in the
Basement
bottom
level?
floor, yeah.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So when this is built, that will be beside it. So you have a chimney that your contractor is aware that that's actually
Yeah.
going to bump out beside the new structure, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Just trying to visualize.
yes.
And the drawing that we just lastly received, the sketch on the front here, explain to me, there's going to be a deck outside around this?
The deck is already there. We're gonna remove the deck and put this in its place. And that was one of my points that I wanted to make, is that we're asking for a variance for this very footprint that's already there.
Okay, the 18 by 18 deck will be removed, but you're going to
Correct.
keep the footings and reuse if possible.
Correct.
And then what will the base be? Is it going to be a wooden cement or,
The
you know,
slab, or
the
is it
slab?
basement? Is it dug
Is
out?
it dug under
It's
it?
gonna,
Yeah,
it's second floor, so it'll have,
Okay.
it'll be up on supports.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That
Thank
answered
you.
my question.
Thank you.
My
Kathy?
question was answered along the way, so I have the question.
Tom?
Dad do a good job? Did Dad do a good job, guys? Yep, thumbs up? Okay.
What else are they gonna say?
Yeah.
Hey, they're healthy-looking boys, don't give them a hard time.
Did you say this was gonna be a foot
Deck is
further
gone.
in?
Yeah, it's in further than the deck
Right.
now.
Yeah, we bumped it in a little, so this drawing shows it in line with the house. It's actually, the drawing you have is the accurate one. It's in just 12 inches more.
Well, you know, you might have 6 children, but I was one of 8. 4 girls in a room doesn't work.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Here's the evidence of it right here.
Yeah, I was the oldest, so I got pushed out fast. But this is not exaggerating the closeness. The ordinance changed, or you would have been in compliance.
Correct.
So I don't really have a problem with it. I think it'll be good for the family, and I'm glad you're staying here with the kids. We need good families. And that was a nice presentation,
Thank you.
no matter what the solicitor says. Okay, no one have anything else?
Madam Chairperson,
Well, is there anybody in the audience who has anything they wanna add?
I just wanted to
Well,
say.
come on up, you and be sworn,
you gotta swear.
but don't use the swears that were, as children were.
Please, for the record,
Gail Rodriguez,
spell your last name, please.
R-O-D-R-I-G-U-E.
Raise your hand, please, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did. I just wanted to say that at least on our road, Raynham and Stoneham, which comes off of our road, and we're a dead end, and so is Stoneham, at least 50% of the houses have an addition just like this in the back, because people in our neighborhood have determined that this is just a great neighborhood. And families are deciding to stay not to sell and to go out and get a bigger house. So there's a lot of home improvements going on, and I think every time somebody does it, it just increases all of our property values and makes our neighborhood a much more welcoming neighborhood. And, you know, people love it. Everybody wants to stay there. So that's, so it's I live 2 houses down, my daughter lives in between. And she's thrilled to be there, and so I know, you know, she's the one who lives right next door, and she's very much in support of this also. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
does
Thank
anybody
you.
have any questions for me? No? Okay, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then they make a motion.
Does anyone else? No? Mike, want something else? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion in front of these 2 young men that application, where is the application?
Z1412.
C-1412 be approved.
I'll second that. Tom made a motion, Kathy second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chairperson, I have something else I want to add.
You what?
I have something else I'd like to add.
Oh,
I'd like to say, due to the changes in the R2 zoning for a few years ago, the township changed this man's property, not him. It's a shame that a resident has to come before this board and pay the sum of money they have to pay to get something done like this. I'd like to make a motion that this gentleman gets his $400 application fee, check 2286, replaced to him, and I feel very comfortable making that motion.
is the motion to
Refund his filing
his
fee.
filing fee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're making a motion to send to the Board of Supervisors that request?
I think that has to go
It
to
has
the
to go to
board.
the
Yeah.
Board of
Yeah.
Supervisors.
Okay, we have a motion and a do we have a second on, you made that part of the motion you made?
No, the second motion.
You want me to make it part of the motion?
Yeah, make it a second,
It's a second motion.
second motion.
Okay, the second motion, I make a motion that it goes before the Board of Supervisors for their approval, because I sat here through a meeting on Thursday night when they gave a developer $2,000 back of the taxpayers' money.
Okay, you made a motion to refund his $400.
May
But he
I
owes-
comment?
But he owes
Go ahead.
400.
Well, there's no second, so is there a reason to comment? If there's a second, then there's a discussion.
Oh,
Right, then I'll second it. so we
Kathy,
can have a
Kathy
conversation.
seconded.
Thank you for that one.
I agree with Tom. I think that the fees have been raised rapidly, and far too many people are being caught in this kind of a catch-22. But I'm not sure that the motion should apply to just one person. I think perhaps we should make a motion just to have the board look at this issue, and that people who are applying for a variance, where the zoning has changed and put them in non-compliance, that we should ask them to look and see if they can reduce or eliminate the fees in those cases in general, because we get these all the time. And instead of doing it on a case-by-case basis, perhaps we should just ask the board to look at that and see if they can find some relief for some of these people. Because when I started on this board some years ago, the fees were nowhere near this high. They've gone up considerably over the years, and I know we all need money, but
Well,
Can I ask a question and clarify, though? It's $800, it's not $400.
he
Right.
already
yeah,
paid
but-
four.
right.
Oh, okay, so he still
Yeah,
owes
I
4.
have a
Correct.
comment to that, and to Tom. Why don't we just handle him and make the request that they review that problem?
That's what I'm
So
saying.
he can be cleared out of it,
Okay.
okay? Or else he'll be tied up as long as they, and he'll need that $400 for paint.
Thank you, Mrs. McFarland.
Will you change your motion to make the refund for his $400? And then
Okay, wait a minute,
we'll do a
Nancy.
separate motion and ask the board to,
Okay, let's do this, and Joyce has a good idea. She said the 800. I'll rescind my motion on the 400.
well, wait a minute.
But I was
That's a
just
different
clarifying the
issue.
amount. You know, it really.
It's a friendly
but-
amendment. Will you accept the friendly amendment to your motion to make it an $800 refund?
Joyce, yes, that's a good
The,
idea.
the first motion, okay.
But
you're
are we
gonna-
setting a precedent? I guess that's my concern.
Right, the first motion's already passed,
Right,
Yeah.
which is that they have their
Right, that was
variance.
unanimous. They have their
Right.
variance.
okay, the second motion,
Is that to
the
turn
refund of
the re-
4, make it 8.
8 is the friendly
So-
amendment.
Okay.
And to request that the supervisors consider refunding that amount that's already been paid, which is 4, and to forgive the payment of the balance.
Okay, Kathy, gonna second that? Sure. Okay. Any questions on it? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Because I'm not sure that's our role to do that.
Okay.
The
But I think
fees
we're
are
just-
set for a
No.
reason, and the
Right.
fees have gone up, and I think, you know, even since Mike's here, he can see, there's a lot of things that go into determining what that fee will be. A lot of
Okay,
hours of work, a lot of visits, a lot of paperwork. I'm not sure that's my role as a member of the zoning board, therefore I'm opposed.
All right, you said your piece.
okay.
Thank
4 to
you.
So
1.
just so there's no misunderstanding, this motion does not refund your money. It's
Understood.
essentially a
Request.
aspirational request of the board to consider
Right.
it. So,
Okay, now, do you have another motion?
I was going to ask Bob, do you want to make that second motion that we request the board review all these fees?
Yeah, I certainly do. I have to say, I am still somewhat concerned over the motion that we just passed, because I think Joyce made a good point that, you know, I hate to see it
We're not a
again.
governing board.
You know, it's just one
That's
person.
set by them.
We're
but
kind
it
of,
sounds like you don't have a motion for the board. I think that's something that everybody should take up
Can
with
I-
the
can I make a
supervisors
comment,
as
or
they
is
want to
that-
take it up.
Can I make a comment, or is that not appropriate this time?
oh, certainly.
Make a comment.
So, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. It restores faith in my community when I hear that. Secondly, in terms of the general motion to do that, I would suggest that you do it as a grandfather clause for those locations where the previous setback already has a structure there, and then the new setback is only mirroring what was already pre-approved. That would be my suggestion, respectfully submitted, so that, although this was very fun, I enjoyed meeting all of you, with due respect, it wouldn't have taken your time or mine to be here to argue something that was hopefully pretty clear. So,
And I think that's the gist of what he wants to do.
Right.
But, of course, the whole concept here, when they changed the ordinance, my presumption is that they wanted to try and eliminate the closeness of homes so that you had a little bit more space. That's a concept that townships tend to embrace because it beautifies the area
as do
theoretically.
I. Sometimes homes are too close together, I understand.
There was certainly a rationale behind it, but it may have affected people unnecessarily, and that's the issue.
Be that as may, I appreciate you making the motion and carrying it for a refund.
Well, he's running
myself.
for mayor, so.
That would be great. You got my vote,
But,
Tom.
you know, the thing when you say hardship's more than just not doing something like this. It also comes in with large families that, you know, that when they get hit with the $800, it's not
Sure,
a fun job.
That's right.
And that's why, the reason why I saw it. And the other reason was when I sat through a meeting the other night and saw what happened. And, you know, I had eight of our things that we've heard this year that $800 fees on it. And they were in and out in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So, that's all I have to say.
Well, they could arrange it so that the time, he bought this house long
17 years ago,
before
right.
that ordinance was
98.
changed.
Right.
They could arrange it so those people should be the ones that have the advantage.
That's what he
If you come in
That
new
was
and
what
want
he
to,
was
yeah,
suggesting, they
Right.
review.
I mean,
just to
And,
review.
That's
and also,
only
can I say, that's what the zoning
fair.
officer maybe it could be up to him in the specific circumstances.
So Bob, are you going to make a motion?
You know, it's
that
really
we-
unnecessary, because as soon
Yeah.
as the board reads these notes, they're gonna say, well, this is an interesting concept.
Well, it's interesting
So,
you bring it up, because
yeah.
I have another ordinance on a fee that I think is unfair that I do intend to bring up at a Board of Supervisor meeting. So perhaps we can request that they review all the ordinances on the fees, because some of them are a bit
they were,
They
obscure
were reviewed
and
recently and
expensive.
changed them.
they changed them
Yeah,
not too
they
long
were
ago,
reviewed.
remember?
Well, I
But
think
we can get into a whole debate about
Yeah.
whether all this is driven by the lack of funding from the federal, the state, and the local levels, but that's a different issue, it seems to me. Most things are being pushed down to the local level. You see that in everything, that's user fees. Now, whether that's the right fee or not is a different issue, but the fact that there's a steep filing fee also has an impact, because it keeps people from filing, which is also probably an inferential
Right.
result
That's a
that they
problem.
want.
That's true.
So there's are all these factors that go into making those decisions, so I think it's not really for us to to make that decision, with all due respect to everybody here.
No, I agree with that, and I think that
Mike
even
wants to
Tom
say something.
would agree that this is not our decision, it's the
Right.
board's. He just
Right.
simply wanted them to give it some thought.
Mike would like that.
Bob, I agree,
well-
Bobby, I agree with what you said, because when the board sees this meeting, they'll say, boy, I went off a rampage, I went off his noodle. But that's all right, I've heard that
So I think they
before.
can have a sliding scale. You know, if
Mike
it's
would
a-
like to speak.
If
Can
it's
we
an
let- can we-
issue that's not real involved, it should be one fee. And if it's a very involved, it can be another fee. So it should be a sliding scale, not one is good for all, because some of them are very complicated, and some of them are
Are
kind of
simple.
just almost
Yep.
Pro forma,
ridiculous,
right.
yeah.
Mike?
You gonna say?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. As the staff member here, as a staff member who would be responsible for taking forward changes to the fee schedule, I respectfully ask you to, instead of doing it in this form, to draft a letter as the zoning hearing board. Spell out your points so that it can be presented to the Board of Supervisors in a fashion in which it's not tied to a particular hearing, which is what I understand
Right.
you to do, and also to get it away from a specific case in terms of the circumstances. I also would respectfully submit that you probably don't want to give me the discretion as a zoning officer or any zoning officer as to what is involved and what is not involved. That's a very subjective type of thing. Zoning is typically written, as
Code.
our solicitor can say, is that I'm not supposed to have discretion, which is how I prefer it, because then that makes my job especially difficult. I really want to just be able to match it up against what the community good has come forth in terms of the written ordinances, as imperfect as they may be, and be asked to apply those, as opposed to trying to subjectively decide for the Ray family or for any other family. Thank you.
I'm sure
That makes
it can
sense.
be written
Yeah,
so
I-
that it is distinct to each, you know, each case. You're not making a decision because it's on the street you like or whatever.
Yeah, I think it can be written out so that you don't have to make the decision.
Right.
So there should be much more verbiage in the whole thing.
Yeah, but he's just
That it's-
responding to Mr. Ray's
Well-
suggestion that perhaps that would make sense, but
Correct.
that's the red flag that goes up whenever you provide one person that power, it becomes problematic. Not that you would abuse that power, but
Yeah.
it could be problematic. So,
Okay, so we voted?
I think we're finished.
Yeah.
Poor
Quick, get your
Mr.
kids
Ray,
to
we
leave.
kept them up
Yeah.
there this whole time.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much
Really
for
a
being
side
here. You
issue.
did an excellent job, fellas.
Now you're
Yeah.
going home and have ice cream?
No,
Now we have to.
Yeah, right. And take some for your sisters, because they're home doing the dishes.
And watching the little one.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Good job, thank
Enjoy.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Okay.
service.
Thanks for bringing that up, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, next, you know,
It bothered me when I saw that.
the
Next
one
one's
has
the same thing.
I know,
So that's why it needs to be.
yeah.
You ready for the next?
Yeah, we're ready for Z 1416. Who wants to read that?
Oh, okay.
Who said that?
Tom.
Oh,
You're in a reading mood.
thank you.
Z14, sorry. Z1416, Sanjay and Janet Coomer, 2753 Maplewood News, Norristown, PA 19403. The applicant is requesting variances from R2 zoning district standards 143-37A concerning minimum side yard setback. 20 feet is permitted, 15 feet is proposed. A variance from 143-37A concerning minimum rear yard setback, 60 feet is permitted, 58.9 and a quarter is proposed. Oh, that's close, isn't it? A variance from 143-37A concerning maximum impervious coverage, 35% is permitted, 42% is proposed. This is in order to construct a porch roof that is contiguous with the house roof and to cover a slightly larger area of the porch. The partial ID of the subject property is 43-00-001. 08014-007. Subject property is located at 2753 Maplewood Mews, Norristown, is in the R2 residential district.
So Mr. and Mrs. Kumar, come on down. You're the next contestants.
Hello.
You saw how this worked before. It was
Yeah.
somewhat of a conversation. We like to keep it that way. We don't want anybody to be intimidated. These folks are all nice, kind folks. I'm the bad guy. So just direct your communication to them and make sure you obviously speak as opposed to wave your hand or make gestures, etc. And of course, give the court reporter the opportunity to swear you in.
Sanjay Kumar. Sanjay Kumar, Kumar.
It's hard to hear him, Mike.
Yeah, the mic's not working, Mike.
Yeah.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that testing that you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Kumar, it's your show. Tell us what you want and why you want it.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I am experienced now after having seen. the
You could have
first-
just said whatever he said, right?
Can I start by requesting 800 back that we paid?
Don't push your luck. I think you gotta keep
I was
going.
thinking of 1,600.
We have been at that house since 1998. We bought in, and we've been there for 16 years. We had no kids at that time, and now we have 3. We have been making small improvements, changing all along. And about a year ago, we began to notice some leak in the family room, in the back side of it, and there was water collecting. On further investigation, we found out that we have a back porch that has a roof that is slightly lower than the roof that is on the house over the family room. Because of the way roof is constructed and being flat, the water has been accumulating and backing up, and that's causing damage to the wall of the family room. So we contacted a contractor and asked him if he could replace that roof that is there with a roof that would make the water disappear and won't have the water damage. He got an architect, and as she came and looked at it, we found out, to our surprise, that we were in violation of some of the zoning ordinances, obviously similar to the previous, because of some of the things have changed since the house was built.
Well, you're not really in violation. It was a non-conforming use. It was there before. You didn't add this in the last.
It was there before.
Right. So
So-
if you wanted to put something in there without getting a permit, then that
Right.
would be a
Right.
violation. So you're fine as far as
So
that
we,
goes.
so we are, so this is the roof that's there. The roof of the house is obviously of this siding, and that's where the water, because this is completely flat, the water is accumulating here and backing up and causing the damage. So all we want to do is replace this, but because we are replacing this, we were asked to request for the variance for the side, which 20 is required, 15 is what we are requesting. We also have a pool in the backyard, and probably because of the pool, the impervious total area is exceeding by, I think, 1 inch and 3/4. And also the, that's the rear setback. And then the rear setback is, sorry, I'm confusing. Let me just read it from here. The rear setback is 60 is permitted, and we.
We're 58.9, right?
58.9 and a quarter is
Right.
what we are requesting. The impervious coverage is 35% is permitted, but because of the pool, we're using quite a bit of space, and 42 is what we are proposing.
But how are you changing anything with
We're not
respect to the
cha-
impervious? You're just putting a new roof up,
We're not
right?
changing anything. The roof stops here. It's going to go slightly ahead. You can see the porch area.
Right.
So it's going to go slightly farther to cover, to give us a little bit extra room in the back porch, and that is causing the.
But that's already impervious surface there with respect to the slab that's there,
Exactly.
right?
Slab is already there. We're just extending the roof.
And that slab's been there,
That
correct?
slab has been there since we bought the house.
Okay, sorry to take you off the track there.
No, that's okay. That was helpful.
Okay.
So we have submitted, we, at least the two immediate neighbors that we have, we did have them, we consulted them and we explained to them, and the letter that we wrote was signed by both of them, one on the left side and one on the right-hand side. Other houses in this neighborhood, they all have some kind of porch. Some have pergola. Next door over here has a pergola. Some have enclosed, they have various kind of structure in the back porch of various kind.
Okay.
Can I ask
So
you a
the-
question?
Sure.
You're gonna take the roof to the end of the,
Concrete.
right here, at the end?
No, it will be not completely to the end, but maybe we
Foot or
have-
so off.
Yeah.
Are the stanchions gonna stay there, or are you gonna have new ones? The pillars?
The pillars will be extended farther down.
Is it gonna
to
be the
support
same, or are
roof.
they gonna be new?
New,
New, okay.
new pillars.
Now, you're having a water leak because this is coming down from your gutters and going behind that. Are you gonna
Right.
tie that, you gonna tie the new roof into the upstairs roof?
The new roof is, yeah, this roof here, from the chimney over there.
Isn't that's it on the package?
That's on-
That's why I'm asking, yes, I see the picture. I'm just asking the question.
Yes, the
But
roof.
actually, you'll be coming from here,
From
tying
here,
down
from the
this way.
chimney, it will be coming from there and then slide down over here.
All right, thank you.
Slope of 3 to 12. So, no.
Other questions?
Question?
No, except I agree with what you were getting at, Keith. I'm not even sure you're increasing the impervious because it's just gonna cover up what's already concrete anyway. So you're
Right.
not really adding
Right.
anything.
Yeah, I don't know why he needs to be here.
And I would say, I mean, the reason that you have such a problem with impervious coverage is because you have a very small lot size. But that again is something which is beyond your control. That's what it was when you bought it. And I know the houses in those days were built in this township. I think they seemed to have let them build on a very small lot. I'm sure there was a trade-off with open space somewhere, but this does, again, this causes this kind of problem that you can't really do anything without running into an issue with the setbacks, so.
What's the thinking, Mike, on the impervious coverage issue?
The impervious coverage isn't something that came up in my review of their previous building permit, so it's something that the applicant is asking for.
As a safety measure?
I believe so. I'm not even sure if, how the pool was calculated, just for the board's edification. We don't count water surface as impervious coverage in a pool situation. We only count the decking around the pool against impervious. So I'm not sure how this was calculated. Again, it was a safety net as you indicated.
Okay.
If we recall, the architect told us that she took the pool area, there's a pool measurement given here, and that's one of the reasons why we may be exceeding it. But I don't know anything more.
But that already existed.
That was there
Yes.
too.
Can I
Yeah.
ask
So
a
if the pool
question?
was not included, he may not even need.
Right. Go ahead, Joyce, I'm sorry.
I have a question for you. The way it's going to slope, first I see there are going to be 2 skylights, which sounds like a good idea, depending, I'm not sure what's behind that. Is that a kitchen area or
It's
what
a
kind of space?
Family room, and it's pretty
Family
dark.
room,
It's
so
pretty
that'll be
dark.
nice, you'll have more light.
Yeah.
Because it's a narrow lot, I'm wondering, when it slopes down, how are you going to handle the drainage from the new roof? Where's that drain pipe going to empty? Will it totally empty on your property? And where does it go on either side of this back patio
So
area?
right now, there are two gutters, one right here where the house ends,
Downspout? yeah.
downspout,
Okay,
and then there's another downspout that is at the end of this roof that's already there. And they both come down and then empty on the outside, but it's still in our yard.
okay, but it's going to be more of a sloped roof. There'll be no guttering on either side of that new roof?
Right.
It'll be,
He is gonna put
But you have to,
He's gonna-
but you have to be sworn because.
oh, that's right.
That's right.
Okay, I'm just, again, trying to visualize and make sure once we have a heavy rain and that water comes down, it's a bigger roofing area, it's gonna be sloped, I wanna know where it's going and just be aware of that.
Right, it will, he'll put a this downspout and drain.
And it's not gonna slope into your neighbor on either
No,
side?
no.
Okay.
It's into
Because
our
I can't
yard.
see the ground, in the pictures from here.
Yeah, into
Okay,
the
thank
back
you.
of the yard.
So the rain spout will go along that front edge of it and then come down?
It will be on
Yeah.
the front, come down and drain that way,
Straight to the back.
back,
Yeah,
Toward the back, not
towards
the
the back
side.
of the
Okay.
house.
I meant
Just trying to
front end.
On the surface as opposed to underground, it's not being taken away underground.
On the surface, no, we're not taking it.
Kathy, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Tom, you have any
Nancy?
questions?
The drain spout would go right into the pool, right?
Actually, we would probably should consider that,
Good thinking.
A waterfall.
Get rid of all that water and save money.
that's right.
I don't have any. You have any more questions? How about
The application that was submitted, it was well done, and it's signed, and are the signatures on this application? It's actually Sanjay's signature, it appears, right?
That's correct, that's my signature.
So Janet, you also support this application, I presume, otherwise there'd probably be a divorce going on. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now,
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yeah, it's dwindling down there. Mr. Hager, do you have anything you want to add? Who's behind you? Does anybody else want anything to say
Yeah, there is
anything?
somebody. I see a jacket. No?
Okay.
Madam Chairperson, nobody else has anything to say. I'll put a motion on the floor. Z1416 be approved.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion. Second. Any questions from the board?
None.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Well done.
Okay, thank you very much.
We're all
Thank
invited
you.
to a swimming party when that pool gets finished.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know.
Are there any
Mike
other-
has his hand up.
Oh, Mike?
Yeah.
Sorry to be a pest. In the last matter, was the impervious coverage also included in the variance granted?
Yeah, I think the application was
The application was
basically
approved.
approved as
Okay.
requested.
As requested.
I'm not sure they
Right.
actually need that,
But as a safety valve,
as
it's
a
there.
safety, right,
I-
right.
So that we have it memorialized, that's all. And secondly, I just remind the chairwoman about the minutes from last month, please.
They're not minutes.
Yeah.
They're not minutes. They're basically what they are, they're notes. Right?
Notes,
They're
right.
notes
Okay.
That they present to
She-
the board, that the board has an idea. They've never been proposed as minutes. Mike.
Okay.
Am I correct, Nancy?
Right.
And the only thing I would say, I do know you had comments at our last meeting, and the notes that she provided, there was no mention of your name or anything you said at our last meeting.
And I'm sure my thoughts were brilliant.
Well, yeah, it just occurred to me, I mean, they're just notes, but what you have is
But
really good.
I understand that he wasn't here at the last meeting.
No, he was at the
Yeah,
other
he-
Frank's.
Yeah,
No, you were,
Twice,
not the
no.
last meeting, I wasn't here.
The
There may
July
have been
meeting?
one before that,
oh, okay.
so.
Then I'm losing it, sorry,
You had a
senior
hard
moment.
time
Right.
throwing the semaphore from
You better
the-
stop
Yeah.
drinking that water.
No.
Okay, anything
have
else
been,
from the board?
I'll make a motion, we go home. Thank you. for
We have a
this
motion and a
long-
second. Everybody in
Thank you.
favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Gail,
We won't listen to
you
it.
say too much. Gail talked too much.
What time is it?
It is
8:05.
This says 7:10. Am I looking at something crazy? What is that?
They haven't changed for daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Oh,